نفتتح على بركة الله عز وجل الدورة التكوينية الثانية في تقنيات دعوة غير المسلمين تحت إشراف الجمعية التونسية لتعريف الإسلام، والتكوين والتدريب تشرف عليه مركز اكتشف الإسلام بمملكة البحرين. الدورة التكوينية الأولى كانت في السنة الفارطة تقريبا في نفس الفترة في شهر أبريل من سنة 2013. قدموا فيها المشايخ جزاهم الله خيرا المستوى الأول اللي شفنا فيه طريقة ATMT التي تعتني بطرق دعوة غير المسلمين في المساجد، والطريقة هذه كان طورها مركز اكتشف الإسلام بمملكة البحرين. الدورة هذه إن شاء الله سيتعرض فيها المشايخ جزاهم الله خيرا للمستوى الثاني والمستوى الثالث. في المستوى الثاني في الشبهات بصفة عامة حول الإسلام، والمستوى الثالث في مقامات الأديان. طبعا بالنسبة للإخوة والأخوات اللي ما يعرفوش الجمعية التونسية لتعليم الإسلام هي جمعية متخصصة في دعوة غير المسلمين. نرحب بجميع الإخوة والأخوات الجدد الذين التحقوا بالجمعية، وإن شاء الله عز وجل يكون عندنا لقاء وتواصل أكثر بعد الدورة هذه، وتكون إن شاء الله هي صراحة الدورة التكوينية للسنة الفارطة يعني كان عندها أثر كبير، وكانت هي الانطلاقة الحقيقية للجمعية مع الدورة التكوينية الأولى. إن شاء الله عز وجل الدورة التكوينية الثانية السنة هذه تكون عندها يعني أثر أكبر، وإن شاء الله تكون يعني انطلاقة أكبر للدعوة الله عز وجل. الدورة إشراف وتنسيق الشيخ رافد الطائي أبو علي. الشيخ رافد هو متحصل على دبلوم في الطيران المدني، ومتفرغ للعمل الخيري والدعوة منذ تقريبا أكثر من 20 سنة. هو مدير مكتب مركز اكتشف الإسلام بمدينة الرفاع بمملكة البحرين. والتقديم في الدورة سيكون للشيخ أبو إبراهيم الشيخ فرحات الكندي. الشيخ فرحات متحصل على بكالوريوس في المحاسبة، ومتفرغ تقريبا أكثر من 20 سنة لدعوة غير المسلمين، وهو يعني مرشد ديني في مركز الفتح في مملكة البحرين. يعني هذا باختصار تقريبا كأمور ترتيبية يعني على عجالة. بالنسبة للأخوات عندهم المصباح الميكرو يعني في الطبقة نتاعهم، عندهم إن شاء الله الصوت والصورة توصلهم، وعندهم بروجيكسيون، وممكن يتدخلوا في أي وقت لو الشيخ فرحات حرص جدا أن تكون دورة تفاعلية. يعني في أي وقت بالنسبة للإخوة أيضا فما المصلح هوني، بالنسبة للأخوات فما المصلح. لو فما أي شيء مش واضح ولا الشيخ مشى بسرعة ولا حاجة ينجموا يدخلوا مباشرة. فما الأخت غاية هي في التنسيق، يعني أي أخت تحب تتدخل تواصل مع الأخت غاية تعطيها المصلحة وتتدخل مباشرة، صوتها يوصل للأعلى إن شاء الله. وهذا تقريبا بالنسبة لكل واحد خلال تقريبا الملف هذا فيه قرص الدورة التكوينية الأولى اللي يطلع عليها إن شاء الله. وأحيل الكلمة للشيخ رافد.
بسم الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
Forati, I work in a company of accountancy.
Accountant, one name. Welcome to the group.
السلام عليكم. محمد البوراوي. I'm computer science engineer.
ما شاء الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. حسن بن عمارة, manager of export company.
Export company. ما شاء الله. نعم.
بسم الله. I am Mohamed Skandar Travelsi. I work in a little informatic company.
ما شاء الله. There are people in computer informatics. ما شاء الله. رنا شرفنا بك.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. محمد صديق الرئيسي accounting expert.
حياك الله محمد صديق.
محمد فراتي mechanical engineer.
ما شاء الله. والنعم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Your brother اسكندر بلومي. I'm a computer technician.
ما شاء الله. Computers. It's computer scientist engineer or something. ما شاء الله.
السلام عليكم. I am محمد كريم بوعزيز, engineering statistic.
والنعم. شرفنا بك.
السلام عليكم.
السلام.
منظر خياري سيفل انجينيرينج.
مختار.
منظر خياري سيفل انجينيرينج.
ما شاء الله. والنعم. شرفنا بك.
السلام عليكم. I'm Yasin Wasli, Technical and Web Marketing.
What's your name again?
Yasin Wasli.
Yasin.
Technical and Web Marketing.
حياك الله. شرف. نعم. إن شاء الله. طيب. نعم. The sisters. Okay, the sisters can introduce themselves so we can know who are with us, inshallah. If you can just mention who you are and what's your background in your education or career. Briefly, please. Sisters, I think, are shy. Anyone wants to introduce themselves? Okay, I think, inshallah, when they ask questions.
They want just to ask if there is any question.
Okay, no problem. Sham. طيب, let's continue. How much time we have? We have 1 hour for the break. Okay. طيب, we started a bit late today, but before we go to the main subject of misconceptions, let us talk about how to answer the questions. Why does a non-Muslim ask a question? Why would people ask a question? For what reason? Who can answer me? Why would somebody ask anything or any question? For what reason?
They don't know.
Yes, they don't know. They want to know out of curiosity. Any other reasons?
They want to know the reality.
They want to know the real facts because maybe they got something wrong information. They want to verify that. Yes.
They don't have the clear and complete image of Islam.
They have certain ideas, but they're not sure, and they don't have the whole picture of Islam. Yes. They have
bad background.
They have false background, or they have wrong information about Islam. They got it from the wrong sources. Any other reasons you think they will ask? I'm sorry? Yeah, to get to know other people's, just out of curiosity, to learn about other people's cultures. What about missionaries? Why do they ask you questions? They want to know about Islam? No.
They confuse you.
Yeah, to put doubts in your mind. Some people ask for nasty motives, but the majority of the people, they ask for good reasons. But not everybody asks, so be careful. If you're in the field, know that there's some people that will ask you questions just to make you look bad, or make Islam look bad, or put doubts in your mind or in your heart, or try to create a bad scenario for you. If they see people interested, they want to spoil the atmosphere for you. So there are people like this who try to spoil your doubt. But alhamdulillah, there are few. They're not the majority are on the other side. They're interested, they want to know, they're curious, they have had something, they want to confirm that information. So alhamdulillah. So how should we answer the questions? What is the way to answer? Should we just answer with a blanket answer, or how do we determine what is a good answer? Give me some criteria of a good answer. How can we say this answer is a good answer? On what basis?
First,
Yes.
you have to detect what the
Yes.
I have to detect and to know what the person who is answering wants.
Okay. You have to see who is the questioner.
The questioner.
What is his intellectual level? Is it somebody who is a layman, intellectual person, somebody who is knowledgeable or not? You have to judge based on that person. If somebody is a simple man, don't give him a very deep intellectual answer. You'll lose him. You have to, you answer according to the questioner. Okay? So your answer has to be tailored to the need of the questioner. So it should be brief and precise to the point. Unless you need to go into more details if they're interested. Okay, any other way to judge a good answer? If you have answer, how can you say this answer is a good answer? Yes.
The answer should be polite.
Polite. You have to say it nicely. No need to be rude or cruel or, with ghilda. You have to speak nicely, with the kindness, with humor if possible. Make it interesting for them. Because while we want to win the hearts and minds of the people, we're not trying to make people run away from Islam. We have to attract them. Yeah? Rasulullah said, لا يكون اللين في شيء إلا زان ولا ينزع من شيء إلا شان. So speaking nicely, polite, using good positive words, language, should be good expressions. Positive, encouraging, attractive expressions. طيب. What about in terms of adjusting our answers. On what base can we adjust, whether make it short or long, or how do we answer a non-Muslim? Do we just answer like we answer to a Muslim, same way? If the same question asked by a Muslim, give the same answer to both of them, Muslim, non-Muslim? So you have to see, if it's a Muslim, it's a different way to answer than to a non-Muslim, because a Muslim, he has a background, he has the Quran, he has the Sunnah, he knows, this is commandments. So you can quote from the Quran, quote from the Sunnah, from the Hadith. With the non-Muslims, no. You can say the Quran says that. Sometimes you have to mention, but normally avoid only using Quran and Sunnah, because they don't believe in Quran and Sunnah. It's not the basis for them. So you have to use logic, you have to use common sense, you have to use other ways, rational, logic, things like this. So remember, you tailor your answer based on the mentality of those people. He is a Christian, you have to know how to approach a Christian differently from a Hindu or a Buddhist, because they have different ways of thinking. Somebody is in a hurry, you give him a brief answer. He has more time, he's interested, give him more information. So you have to adjust based on the interest of the person, their background, their nationality, and you can see based on the situation. So a da'i or da'iyah has to be wise. That's why you need hikmah. You have to know who is this person, why is asking this question, what kind of answer will be suitable for them. So it comes with experience. You cannot learn this in one day. It takes experience. The more you interact with the non-Muslims, you'll find that you learn how to answer each one according to their needs. So don't give overdose. If you go to the doctor, have a headache, he gives you maybe Panadol, says every 2 hours take 2 Panadol. But if you take the whole packet, what will happen? You'll die. You get an overdose. So you have to give little. So don't overdose or give over information. Because too much information will actually have the negative effect. So just give what they need for that stage. So once they show they want more, then you can give them more. So give it gradually, slowly, step by step. So this is one of the things I wanted to clarify. When you deal with non-Muslims, you have to deal with people, you have now people of different mentalities, different backgrounds. So if they ask you a question, you feel it's offensive, don't be offended. That's what they think, according to their culture. They judge us based on their culture. So we're dealing here with the reasons why misconceptions exist in the first place. So this will be our topic for now. Common misconceptions about Islam. But first of all, why are there misconceptions about Islam? So who can give me an answer? Like, why do we have misconception? Why do they exist in the first place? The media plays a very important role. Okay? We know that media...
So what's the meaning of misconception?
Misconception means shubuhat. يعني حول الإسلام. يعني سوء فهم. يعني they have ideas about Islam which are not correct. False notions. Somebody has heard about Islam from the media, from the internet, that Muslims are terrorists, for instance. Muslims, they do this, they do that. But there is no basis to this, just a false notion that he picked up from somewhere. So we want to know why they think like that, where this came from, what is the reason for this notion to exist, okay? So we have to see what is the root cause of this problem before we can solve the problem. So we call it, one of the problems is they don't have access to this information about Islam, lack of correct information. When you have a society like this, Tunisia, Ta'rif al-Islam or Discover Islam, any Islamic organism that provides information, correct information, this helps to solve the problem. So they need to have access to correct information about Islam. Because some people are spreading wrong information about Islam. Okay, this is one thing. Sometimes non-Muslims judge Islam by their own standards. Suppose you're born in America, you're brought up as a Christian, you only know about the Bible and Jesus. How would you think about Muslims? What would you think? These guys are terrorists. These guys are horrible, you know. Yeah, these are disbelievers. They don't worship Allah. They worship something else. They worship the Kaaba, you know. They think like that. They think we're idolaters, you know. Muhammad is a false prophet. They don't know about Islam. So you have to understand where they come from. So we need to provide correct information. So they judge us by their own standards or background. Now, what is the other source of causing misconception? Which is the biggest problem we're facing today about Islam in creating misconceptions? What is the most important source of creating these misconceptions? Who knows? The media, the anti-Islamic media, especially in the West. They're attacking Islam day and night. This is their job. They're trying to create every means possible to remove the interest of people in Islam, because they realize that because of the natural beauty of Islam, its attractive teachings, many people today are looking for the truth. Even among the Western people, they're searching for the truth. Now, if Islam is portrayed as a good religion, as an excellent religion, way of life, many will convert to Islam. Then what will happen to them? Those people who are controlling, who have the power, who have the resources, they'll lose their power, they'll lose their status. Churches will close down, and other groups will lose their authority. So they don't want that. So they have vested interest in, especially the Jews and other people who are anti-Islamic anyway. They don't want the Muslims to get power and influence in any other country. They want to keep control over these countries. So you have to be aware that the media is the biggest source of creating misconception. Every time they come up with something. So you have to be alert. And there is also another source which you call the Orientalists and missionaries. Orientalists are those people who study Islam. They are from the West, they study about Islam, just to know about Muslims, but they also at the same time, sometimes in their writings, they write things which is against Islam. So they are looking for issues which can be used against us. They look for weak hadiths, strange hadiths, things which will give Islam a bad name. So they include this in their research. And they say we are scholars of Islam from the West. We celebrate this in Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim or something. Maybe it's a weak hadith, or they just found it somewhere and they put it there to poison the minds of the people. Because in the West, many people study about Islam as part of their studies and to know other cultures, but if they get the information from Orientalists, then it's a problem. They don't get it from the Muslims. They look for the Orientalists, what they write, and they take that as the source of Islam. I once was in the United States, I was studying in the university. I went to the library of our university, the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, to see if any book I could find a book about Islam. All the books there are all saying bad things about Islam. Not a single book was good. I could not believe what I was reading. It's amazing. It's written by Orientalists, all negative things. If I was a non-Muslim, I don't want to know anything about Islam. If I read that book, khalas, forget about Islam. See, they have filled the libraries with these books. Because we have slept on our deen. We didn't work for, we should provide them with the correct. So I told these guys, why don't you ask me, we'll bring you proper books. This is all false information, I said, okay, you bring us, we don't have, So this is the biggest problem. We have to make sure that we provide correct information. And the missionaries, of course, we know what's their agenda. They want to convert us to be Christians. This is their mission. So they don't want Islam to spread. They will try everywhere to create problems for Muslims or anybody who wants to know, they put this shubhat or this misconception to make people turn away from Islam. They have their own agenda, and Allah guide them. Okay. Sometimes we have Muslims, they misbehave. We're not perfect human beings. Muslims, we have good Muslims, we have weak Muslims, according to your Iman. So we don't expect that every Muslim will be 100% practicing Islam. So when they see a non-Muslim, especially if all the people that are mostly non-Muslim, you go to study abroad in the US or Europe or somewhere, you're traveling, and they see you behave in a very wrong way. He's a Muslim. Immediately, this is Islam. They don't think this person is the one who is doing something wrong, but they don't know about Islam. They think you represent Islam. So for them, whatever you behave is because of your religion. They judge Islam by the behavior of some Muslims. So if those Muslims are behaving in a negative way, immediately Islam got a bad name. So be careful when you go to these countries. Represent Islam as a good ambassador, because they judge Islam by your behavior. But if you do the opposite, you behave, this Islam is good. See, this man is honest, he's hardworking, he's sincere, he fulfills his promises, he doesn't cheat, he doesn't steal, he's a straight man, this is good. Then they ask, what is your religion? See, like Indonesia and Malaysia, how did they become Muslims? Because they were Muslim merchants, businessmen went there from Yemen or other countries, and they were very honest, very good. They did the job properly. They performed, they were honest in their dealings, they treated people very well, so people were impressed. So they became Muslims through trading. In Africa also, East Africa and other countries, we have similar cases like that. So our behavior has an impact on the deen. We have also some historical reasons. There have been the crusades. In the Middle Ages, there's the wars called the crusades. In those Middle Ages, with the Christian, this Pope of the Catholic Church, he waged a war against Muslims to recapture Palestine. They wanted to take over Jerusalem and Palestine. This is the home of Jesus. Why it's under the Muslim rule? They want to take it over. But to encourage the Christians in Europe to fight, to get into this campaign, they had to create a lot of lies about Muslims. That they hate Jesus, they worship another false god, Muhammad is the Antichrist, all these false notions, that the propaganda machine to create fear of Islam in the hearts of the Europeans. So they all came out in big numbers to fight the Muslims. They thought Muslims are horrible people. We have to fight them. But you see, this is still till today. We are suffering from this remnants of this campaign. Until today, some Europeans still have the same ideas about Muslim, based from these crusades and other wars fought with the Christians. Now, some people think my religion is the best. Okay? We normally tend to think like that. My way is the best. So if somebody is a Christian, why should I become Muslim? My religion is better than yours. I'm in America, in the first world, you're in the third world, you know. Islam is in the third world, why should we accept? So they have that pride. Except those few that Allah blesses them with humility. Some people, they don't want to become Muslim because they feel proud. We are better than you guys. We are more advanced technologically. We are in the first world, the superpower. You guys are nothing. So the judge Islam said, if your religion is good, you should be now in a better situation. Why you guys are looking, you're poor, you're in bad shape, you're disorganized, you have this terrible situation, economic situation. We are better off than you. They forget that Muslims at one time were ruling the world. They forget about the civilization of Islam in Andalus, in Spain. For 800 years, they were in the top. Europe was in dark ages. They used to come and study under the Muslim scholars in Spain. So all this is forgotten, they don't remember that. But they just see now, oh, see Muslims out there, they're in bad shape. Cannot be, this religion is not good. So this is something. People think their way is the best way. Another thing is, maybe they feel that Islam is not good for them because of their position of power. They may accept Islam as an excellent religion, everything, but they don't want to live because of fear of losing their authority or position. Somebody is a leader of a community. He's a priest, he has a parish, he's the Pope, somebody has a high-rank minister or something. They will say, I lose my job, I lose my livelihood, I lose my position. What will I do then? You know, they are scared sometimes because of this. So these are some reasons. Now, any questions about reasons for the misconception? Anybody has any questions before we go to the misconception? Anybody has any clarifications? Stop me. Okay, first we'll tackle one by one. Question 1. Why was Islam spread by sword and not by peaceful means? Suppose you ask this question. Put yourself in a situation, you are in the street dawah or in the masjid, in the mosque, you gave the tour, you think when finally they ask you this question. If you say Islam is a peaceful religion, okay, why was it spread by the sword? What would be your answer?
Who said that it was spread by sword?
Okay, this is what we read. The Muslim armies went and attacked all these countries. They conquered the Byzantium, they conquered this, Iraq and Syria and all these countries, the Roman Empire. Was it not by fighting? So how do you answer that? How would you answer this question? Give me another answer. Okay, think about it. Just an example. Give me a country where no Muslim army has been there before. And how they became Muslim. Just mentioned it earlier. Indonesia. Today Indonesia and most of the Muslims, the largest population of Muslims today is Indonesia. You can tell them, Indonesia is the most populous Muslim, there are more than 200 million Muslims. Which Muslim army went to Indonesia? None. What about Malaysia? None. Philippines? None. All the South, not a single Muslim army went there. Most of even African continent, no Muslim army went there, especially East Africa and those countries, through business, through trading. Okay? Now, another thing we can tell them, in Islam, there is a principle. There is a principle that says, La ikraha fi din. Surah Al-Baqarah chapter 2 verse 256. Let there be no compulsion in religion. So if we convert people by force, we be against the teaching of Islam. How can we force somebody to become Muslim? Okay? What about another reason we could give to prove that Islam is not spread by the sword? Who can give another point we can use against to the non-Muslim to prove that Islam is not spread by peaceful means? Who can give me an example which is practical? Yes.
Well, if you say that, for example, in some countries that become Muslim and not by the wars, they will tell you about some ghazawat before that happened.
Yes.
We have that. There were some battles before, but you can say that these were to defend yourself rather than to conquest. And another thing that you can acknowledge that or admit that an empire should spread, and Muslims before they when they go to another country, they do not conquest, but they say whether you become a Muslim or you pay jizya. So I think that those two.
It's a very good point in the sense that we have to understand, why do we fight? Do we fight to conquer other people's countries? Do we fight to take over their resources? Do we fight to rule other nations, to improve our, Lebensraum, to get more room, to get more power for national reasons, for economic reasons? Why are we fighting?
Just to do that.
To remove obstacles in the way of Allah, to remove oppression and injustice, to establish peace and justice, to create the right environment for dawah to spread. These countries where Islam had to fight them because they don't want to allow people to become Muslims. They don't want Islam to be even taught to the people. They don't want anybody to even think about becoming Muslim. These are regimes which are anti-Islamic. They don't want anybody to have the freedom of choice. Most of these battles are fought for these reasons, to remove these oppressive regimes and give the people the opportunity to accept Islam freely or to reject. Another way to prove this is that there's so many Muslims. You have evidence, brother Hisham.
What we see today that this fast spread of Islam without any sword.
Okay. Today, Muslims, are they strong or weak? Weak. So what is the sword now? If there are a lot of Westerners are accepting Islam, it's the fastest religion, fastest spreading religion in the world today. And compared to the past, today Muslims are weak. So what is the sword? Why are they becoming Muslim? When Muslims are weak, they don't have a sword now. That's a good point, Hisham. Yes, brother.
We can say that if Islam was spread by the sword, you can't find 10 million Coptic Christians in Egypt. You can't find the percentage of Christians in Lebanon and the Middle East.
Excellent, yes. You see, another point you can use as you mentioned, if Islam was spread by the sword. Today we have how many? About 10 million Coptic Christians in Egypt, and some other Christians in Syria, and in Lebanon, in other countries. Many Jews also are existing here in other Muslim countries. So if Muslims had the power, for more than 1,000 years Muslims have ruled these countries, where is the sword? Because otherwise there will not be a single Christian today in the Muslim or Arab world, neither Jew or any other people of other faiths, because Muslims had power. Any other country can give us an example besides we've given the Coptic Christians? Yes.
We thought that before invading any country, Muslims they would send people to negotiate. You have the choice whether to convert to Islam or to stay as on your religion and to stay on your religion and pay jizya, or the third and final choice is to fight. So it wasn't really spreading Islam by sword, but and we have this incident in Sunnah. I think it's in the area of Umar Abdul Aziz when the army was fighting. I think spreading Islam in Kazakhstan or somewhere, and they invaded the town without giving these warnings, you see what I mean? And the priests, they sent to Umar Abdul Aziz and said, listen, this is what happened. And he sent to the army chief and said, did you do that? And he said, war is khad'a, you see? So he ordered the army and all the Muslims to leave the town. So this is one
excellent example. Very good.
Yeah.
Ahsant. Jazakallah. Welcome back. He was with us last year. Now, what about the sisters? Can we get some feedback from the sisters? Any way to prove that Islam did not spread by the sword? Can any sister volunteer to give us some feedback? Did Islam spread by the sword or by peaceful means? Can you give us some feedback, please? No answer. Inshallah, we'll get going. What about India? Anybody thought about India? How many years did Muslims rule India? 1,000 years. Okay? What is the percentage of Hindus today in India? 80%. And Muslims 20%. Could this have been possible if Muslims were using the sword? No. All India would be today Muslim. Because they had the power. They had the authority. Yes?
Is Hindu really a religion? Or?
It is a religion, but it's not one type of religion. Many versions of Hindu. There's not one single version. We'll be talking that inshallah in third day maybe of the 12th program. But we'll leave this separately.
Because I heard a Muslim scholar there in India known as Zakir Naik.
Yeah.
His face and down.
Yes, I know him. Yeah.
He told the Hindu that Hinduism is not a religion. Because Arabs, when Arabs went to India, they called, oh look, this is a Hindi. So this is like an adjective.
No, it is a religion. It is a religion, but it's a different religion in the sense that each area has its own style of worshipping. It's different. It's not one style that we have one format. Yeah. It has different forms of expressions, but it is a religion. Yes, it has books, it has scripture, it has beliefs, it has these stories and tales. So it's a different religion, but in fact, in the original scriptures, they have to believe in one God. And I'll be showing this inshallah later on when we do the comparative studies.
We said that Muslims are only 20%, but this is statistics now. Yeah. Before the dividing Pakistan and India, Muslims were more majority, or perhaps half.
Yeah. The point is that even though if they rule India, there will be not a single Hindu. If I'm in power, I can enforce everything. I can tell the people either become Muslims or I chop off your heads. Everybody become Muslim. Like other countries, they're being forced to become Christian, like Spain. Muslims ruled Spain how many years? 700 years or 800 years? When today you find Muslims, there are very few Muslims, because when the Spaniards took over, King Ferdinand and Isabel, they made what called the Spanish Inquisition. It's like a tribunal. Anybody was checked. If you say you're Muslim, you have three choices. Either you get killed, or you have to leave the country, or you have to exile yourself. There's no staying behind as a Muslim. They don't allow you to become Muslim. That's why Spain was clean of, not a single Muslim was left there. Whoever stayed behind, they were like hiding their Islam. Those who could not go out or could not find a place to go, they pretended to be Christians outside. But in their homes, they would be worshipping in secret. It's like nifaq, You cannot do it, because if they know you're Muslim, they find you worshipping, or they will kill you immediately. They will burn you at the stake. Jews were killed, Muslims were killed. This is one of the black spots of Christianity. How they killed the Muslims and Jews in Spain. It was very sad. And Muslims had been there for 800 years, and they gave full freedom to the Christians to practice their religion and to the Jews. In fact, the Jews attained the highest level of civilization, not in Palestine, in Spain, under Muslim rule. One of their chiefs, called Maimonides, he was the one who wrote about their history, so it became the most famous part of the history while they were under Spain, because Muslims gave them full freedom, and he was one of the ministers of the ruler. So you can see how much Islam respected other religions, whereas on the opposite is true. When the Christians take over, they totally try to eliminate the other people. They are totally intolerant, okay? So
but I think the religion of Hindu, it's made by man. That's meaning everything what they do made by man now.
Okay, we will leave this point later on when we discuss about Hindu. So let us not go to the other side. I'm just trying to address these questions. I'm just giving examples. So inshallah, regarding Hinduism and Buddhism, and we'll discuss this in the comparative religious classes. So today we talk about Christianity, and maybe the day after tomorrow talk about Hinduism or Buddhism. We'll see whichever comes first, but we can talk this into detail later on, inshallah. So you see, you have to give them examples, like practical examples, how Islam spread to Indonesia, to Africa, East Africa, to these countries. There was no sword, no army went there. And you can tell them also that it is against the principle of Islam to use force. Otherwise there's no point, because Allah said, La ikraha fid din, let there be no compulsion in religion. So if it's against our principle, if we do this, it has no meaning. What is the benefit? So most of the people who accept Islam is out of their own free will and choice. There's no compulsion. And we can tell this based on the proof that non-Muslims are living among us. We have Coptic Christians in Egypt, you have Christians in Syria, in Lebanon, in other Muslim countries, and Jews also. If the Muslims are using the force, they could have made them all Muslims. But their existence today bears witness to the fact that Islam does not use force to convert people to Islam. And when force is used, it's only to remove oppressive regimes or barriers in the way of promoting Islam. Not for the sake of taking over. The Muslims get back the lands to the people, but as long as they accept Islam to be taught, they're given the freedom to choose. Nobody was forced to accept Islam. Is this clear to everybody? So this is some of the points, but there are a lot of other details I'll give it to you later in written form, inshallah. What about the sisters? Do they have any clarifications regarding this question number 1? Does anybody have any question? Is it clear to everybody how to answer this question? Mafi feedback. Maybe we have to, inshallah, encourage more. Let's move to question number 2. Why do Muslims wage holy war, jihad against non-Muslims? This is very, very common question. In fact, these 2 questions are the most common questions nowadays. After September 11, this became the most common. Before it was about hijab and niqab. Now this became the most important question they ask you. Why do you guys make jihad against us? Why do you fight us? Okay? So I mentioned some points before. Can anybody give me some feedback? Why do you make jihad? Why do you make holy war? Why do you do holy war against the non-Muslims? Let's start here, we'll come to you.
Jihad meaning defend.
Means defense? Yes. Okay, in Arabic, jihad, what does it mean? The technical definition of jihad, what does it mean?
Working hard.
To strive, to exert your utmost effort. Okay? So there are different meanings for jihad. So one of the jihad is to defend yourself. This is one of the top level of jihad, where you have to fight. There's combat, there's military activity. But this is not, what about the other levels of jihad? Who can tell me what are the other levels of jihad? You had your hand up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no...
Yeah. We can hear him, no problem. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Well, if you look into the map of the world, there's no Western country being invaded by Muslims. Muslims are only defending their land, you know, and their freedom. So there's actually, it's a stereotype, it's a mismanipulation of media. There's no jihad actually. Muslims are not fighting outside their lands, you see what I mean?
That's true. That's a good point. Most of the time you find these wars, Muslims are defending themselves. They are not attacking others, they are being attacked by the other people. But this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something which is very important. What does the question say? Why do Muslims wage holy war? Is this holy war harb muqaddasa in the Quran or in the Sunnah? Do we fight holy wars? No. There's no holy war in Islam. You won't find harb muqaddasa in the Quran or in the Hadith of Rasulullah. It means jihad. So jihad has different meanings. First level of jihad is what? Jihad in nafs. You're striving against yourself, your evil desires, your temptations, to improve yourself, to make yourself a better Muslim. This is the jihad on the individual level, which is continuous jihad. It's the greatest jihad you have to do. The second jihad is the second level of amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy munkar in the society, using peaceful means, commanding what is good, forbidding what is evil, trying to get rid of corruption, rid of things like prostitution, alcoholism, drug addiction, anything that is harmful to society, but by peaceful means. But each one according to his ability. Rasulullah he said, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyiru biyadihi, fa in lam yastati' fa bilisanihi, fa in lam yastati' fa biqalbihi wa dhalika adhafu al-iman." Aw kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So every Muslim has a duty to change the situation. If you are in your family, you are the head of the family. You see, maybe your daughter does not wear hijab, or one son is not praying. You have to command them. And you try, of course, peacefully, but it doesn't have to use force. You have to use disciplinary action because you are in charge. You can use that force to make them go to the mosque, you can make them apply Islam, but in a nice way, of course, you start stage by stage. So there is a way. If you are in authority, you are the ruler of the country, you can change munkar by just making a decision, passing a law or something like that. But if you are a person who doesn't have authority, you can only command with your tongue, nicely, giving nasiha, giving advice, writing like in the newspaper, using the media to create awareness, trying to make activity to change the situation in a peaceful way. But the last and the final jihad is the where you have to fight, to defend the truth. Because Islam has to fight to defend, because not everybody will want you to promote what is good. There are people who don't want good, they don't want Islam, they don't want justice or peace to be in the society, they want corruption. They love corruption, they love that munkar should be there, they don't want you to stop this. So they will fight you. then you have to fight back to defend your freedom of worship, to defend your principles, to defend your country. If somebody attacks your country, you have the right to defend yourself. If somebody attacks your family, you have to defend your family. Somebody wants to take away your property, you have to fight back to get your property. So these are God-given rights, which is approved even by international law, right of self-defense. But this jihad is not done by anybody. You have to have a proper system. You have the imam of the country has to make this jihad. The scholars have to agree that's for fi sabilillah, because there may be jihad fi sabili shaytan. Okay? Because sometimes your parents may make jihad with you to become mushrik. So Allah said, وَإِن جَاهَدُوكَ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِشَيْءٍ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. If they make jihad to make you worship other than Allah, to make shirk with Allah, do not obey them, but still being kind with them. So we want to make jihad fi sabilillah, and fi sabilillah has conditions. It has to be for just reasons, for the sake of promoting the truth, to give freedom of worship, to defend the justice, to remove oppression, and just to be sanctioned by the rule of the country and by the Muslim scholars and ulama. So this is a different jihad. This is where you have military combat, and you cannot kill women or children or old men or people not involved in the battle. وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. So we have limits. So strict conditions have to be followed. So this is the reasons for jihad. Now, yes, تفضل أيوب.
Can we answer in this way?
تفضل.
Can we answer?
Yes, there are many ways to answer this. I'm just giving you my approach. You can share with me your approaches. Yes, Ayub.
Can we answer in this way? If you accept that every country in the world has its own army to defend the country, if you accept this, so as Muslims do everything in the sake of Allah, so we call this military actions jihad. So simple.
No, but you have to be careful, because not all military countries, because many countries today are secular countries. They don't do jihad fi sabilillah. They do jihad for the other reasons. Maybe they fight another country for resources, for dispute about the borders, for other reasons other than Islamic reasons. So you have to make sure they understand jihad has a specific criteria. Not every war is fought is for the sake of Allah. So you have to, like, you have Saddam Hussein attacked Kuwait. Was it fi sabilillah? Of course not. And you have Muslim countries attacking Muslim countries sometimes for other reasons. So we can't call this jihad. We have to tell there may be wars sometimes which are for other reasons, but only the fighting that is done to promote the truth and to remove oppression and injustice and to make the word of Allah supreme. This is the jihad which we are talking about. But it's not like they think that any battle involving Muslims is jihad. It's not the same. It's different. You have to make sure they understand this concept of jihad. Secondly, they have to understand that jihad is not holy war, because they think when a Muslim ruler fights in the name of Islam, it's holy war. We say we don't have holy wars. There's no war that's considered holy. But we have what you call combat, military combat, when it's necessary to do so, and this has to be sanctioned by the rulers. Because this term came from where? From the Crusades. The Christians are the first people to use this word, holy war. So they think our fighting is the same thing. We're trying to force people to convert them to Islam through fighting. It's not the same reason. You have to tell them we don't fight for converting people to become Muslim. We're fighting to remove oppressive regimes to establish justice and freedom of worship. You have to clarify this point. So it's not the same thing, basically. Yeah.
To let us do da'wah or live in our country, in our Islamic country? Yes,
Could you repeat that question again?
No, it was an answer. We make jihad if we are attacked by another country, or to do our self-defense, or to let us make a call to Islam.
So you mean jihad is only allowed for defensive reasons?
Yes.
It can be also offensive, but not for every case. Sometimes we make jihad, okay, defense is part of jihad, but you can't attack another country. Suppose I give an example. South Africa before was having an apartheid system of regime. They oppressed the black people. They treated them unjustly. If there was a Muslim government that sent an army to liberate those people, this is jihad which is sanctioned by Islam. When there is oppression against justice, there's injustice in the country, there's oppression of people, there is a need to help those people, Muslims should help those people. This is jihad. But not to go there and take over their country and take over, no, you liberate them and leave them back. Let them take over them. You don't stay there, take their resources and rule them, no. You just remove the injustice and the oppression. So this jihad can be offensive and can be defensive, both cases. So it doesn't mean only defensive, you can remove oppression from any other country. So if there's any country that oppresses the people, enslaves the people, treats them very badly, doesn't give them freedom of worship, Muslims are required to help them, if they can, if they have the power to do so. Yes. Of course, it depends on ability. Not if you can't do it, you don't have the power. You cannot do it now. But in those cases, when those Islamic government, Islamic ruler, and the Islamic army, they can liberate those people. They can help those people. It's allowed Islamically. Yes. Allahu Akbar.
You know what was the trigger for the war that led by Muslims to Persia and Romans in Byzantium? Back in the history.
Yeah, they wanted to attack Islam. In fact, the Hercules, who was the Byzantine emperor, was named Heracles in Arabic. He thought that since he saw Islam was growing, and he was scared that this Islam will come and take over, so he wanted to do what he called empty attack, or called the preemptive attack. He assigned a big army from the Arab Christians, and he added another 220 to attack Islam and destroy Islam from within, before Islam becomes strong. So Rasulullah, he amassed an army and sent it to Tabuk to defend Islam, because they were the ones who were trying to come and attack Islam. So before they could get together and attack, he went to meet them, but then they heard that he was coming, so they left. They did not have the courage to face Rasulullah. So many of the battles of Rasulullah were defensive or preemptive. So it depends on how you look at it. The enemy will think you're attacking, but actually Rasulullah was defending the Islam, because the enemies of Islam were trying every means possible to attack Islam before it became strong enough to stand on its feet. Quraysh, when Rasulullah migrated to Medina, did not leave him alone. They tried to, there were many battles, Badr, Uhud, Ahzab, so many battles. You see, they wanted to destroy Islam, but in the end they had to make peace with Rasulullah. When they realized Islam is now very strong, they had to sign the Hudna, with Rasulullah, Treaty of Hudaybiyah. So this is what I'm telling you. The reality is that we have to fight when there is a need. But you cannot do that now, because we are now in a weaker position. But when Islam is strong, they have to defend. If anybody attacks Muslims or wants to attack Muslims, we have the right to go and fight them before they attack us, if there's clear indication that they're coming to attack us. So this is one of the reasons we said preemptive, to defend ourselves from imminent attack, which is clearly, without doubt, that they're going to do so. Yeah. Right. What about the sisters? Any input from the sister side? Probably if you don't see them, difficult to get interaction. Inshallah, they are following with us. If there's any question, sisters, please feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. Question number 3. Now we're getting to the issues that regards the sisters now.
Let's suppose he said to you, okay, I am okay that...
Who is that? Non-Muslim?
Yes, non-Muslim. Okay, Islam wasn't spread by sword. The jihad is just for making the dawah reaching everybody. But this is a way to... as you are ruling the country, so you can manipulate easily people, their faith, you can manipulate media, you can manipulate everything since you are ruling. So, okay, the sword was just to reach people, but you have the power to manipulate them.
The answer is the same which I gave earlier. Tell them which countries today are the most, where the Muslims are in great numbers. You have Indonesia, okay? We have even the Western countries today, the Western countries. The majority of people coming Muslims are from the West. It's the fastest spreading religion. Where is this one? Egypt. You can tell them, Egypt, if Muslims had they have been ruling Egypt for many years, why they still have 10 million Coptic Christians? Spain, you know, when Muslims ruled for 700 years, why is today you don't have a Muslim in Spain? You have mostly Christian country. India and other countries. Give examples. If this is true logically, if Muslims were manipulating the media, manipulating the power they had, they could have made everybody in Spain Muslim, everybody in Egypt Muslim, everybody in India to become Muslim. They had the power. You know, 1,000 years in India and 800 years in Spain and more than 1,000 years in Egypt. Why these people are still there? Why would these non-Muslims still exist? This shows that they are not being forced. It's logical. Because if I'm going to force you, I have the power, means that there will be nobody left there. Or maybe minority, small, tiny group. Maybe you can count them on your fingers. But millions, you know. Christians are in big numbers in the Muslim world. You have Jews also in big numbers in the Muslim world. Why then are they existing, these people? So this proves that it's not...
They are existing just because they are free. But brains of many people has been changed, and they will be converted to Islam. It is like what happened in Muslim countries when they were offended by France, for example, in Tunisia here. Okay, there are many people who were attached to the Islam, but most of people were changed into laicity, into they were like French people.
Okay, there is no doubt that the presence of Muslims in any society will have an effect on the culture of that society. People may be affected because the Christians who came to study about Islam in Andalus, they learned Arabic. They used to speak Arabic and they were proud to speak Arabic. It was like something that shows you're an educated person, because that was to show that I'm a graduate from Andalus, and they were proud to write in Arabic. There's no doubt, but they did not convert to Islam. So there is no doubt that we influence one another. If I go to the West and I live in the West, I'll be influenced by their culture, by their society, but it doesn't mean I'll automatically convert to be a Christian. So these issues cannot be used as a measuring stick, because humans influence each other through interaction. So Muslims may adopt Western culture in some areas, and the West may adopt some Islamic culture in some areas. This is normal. But to convert is something that is a personal decision. Because what will it benefit the Muslims if all people became Muslims and it's against their religion? Because that faith does not count. Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, La ikraha fi din. He said there is a principle in Islam which is a God-given principle. If we don't follow this principle, there's no point in anybody becoming a Muslim, because that faith is not counted. If anybody forces anybody to become a Muslim, he has sinned, and that person's faith is not considered to be valid, because it's through coercion. So why would Muslims then force people to, if it's against their principle, against their Quran? Not logic. So what do they benefit from it? Nothing. So what is the benefit for us to force people to become Muslim if it's against our own principles? It's clear. So the principle that there's no force or compulsion is the basis for this issue. So if the Quran says you have to force people to become Muslim, then you can say yes, there is a point in the Quran. But the Quran says the opposite. Nobody should be forced to become a Muslim. Yeah? Truth is clear from error. So whoever wants to, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Allah gave us the option. So why then should we go against our own religion and force people to become Muslim? It doesn't make sense. So this is the way you should reason with them. So they will realize that, of course, if it's in their book, they'll not go against it. It's against the principle of Islam to do so. But you may have cases, one or two cases sometimes, you may have cases where people, they may use coercive means. I'm not saying that it's impossible. There is a case of Maimonides, that Jewish guy I told you was a very high-ranking minister in Andalus. The ruler of Andalus that time forced him to become a Muslim, so he wanted him to become his chief minister. So what he did, he escaped to Egypt. And in Egypt, the judge, they said later to the Egyptian ruler to kill him as a murtad. He went back to his religion in Egypt. So the judge asked him, when they met Qadiyya, the court case, regarding his issue, because the Khalifa of that time said, the Muslim said he should be killed because he's murtad. So they asked him, did you become Muslim by choice? He said, no, I was forced. Then Khalas said, that is not considered to be, you did not convert to Islam, so there's no ridda. So he was allowed to live peacefully and he practices Judaism. They did not put punishment for him because he was forced to become Muslim. Not by every Muslim, by the ruler of that country. So you do have sometimes individuals who put pressure, but this is just individual cases. It's not the basis of the religion. Okay? Fine. How much time do we have still?
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Yes, wa alaikum salam.
I'm Rahma, and I'm here with sister in the second class. Just to remark, we like very much the topic, that's why we are here with you. And welcome with us in Tunisia. We really find that, not just me, because we don't find the course it's interactive. So we feel here like...
I understand how you feel.
I speak about me and some sisters. I don't know about all sisters, but we want really to join you there, if possible.
I think Brother Sabri is the one in charge. We understand, and I actually prefer the same thing as you prefer, but I think there's a problem with the space. There's not enough space to accommodate all the people. And I don't know how many sisters are there. I thought there were about 20 sisters. How many sisters?
No, not 20, yes. And I think that not all they want to join you there.
She's Muslim.
Okay, so we will discuss this with the men because I think this is up to the management. There's no place. The management they affirm that there's no. You can speak through the interaction.
Sorry, Chef, but we are not used to use the microphone every time. We have many questions. We want really to interact there. I'm sorry, really.
Yes, I understand, sister. Jazakallah khair, sister, for your comments.
Sheikh, just a suggestion, please. Could we just sit in the back and, yeah, we can without tables for girls who want to join upstairs, and we can sit in the back. Because we cannot, we are shy to use every time the microphone to interact. Sorry for this interruption.
I understand. I appreciate your comment, sister, but it's not in my hands because the management here, they have a reason for separating the men from the ladies because of the space limits. If there is a chance, inshallah, we'll discuss this later with the brothers here in the management. I personally prefer the same thing you said, but I think there is no space for the sisters here. Yeah, barakallahu fikum. But you can communicate with the mic for the time being. And inshallah in the future sessions, if there's chance for the ladies to come, we'll try to accommodate them. But we'll have to leave this to them. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer them. Don't hesitate. Yeah. They want to be in the class. Yeah. So this is the issue. Actually, in the training program we had in Susa, we had the sisters in the back rows, like we had before in the first training program. But I think there's a logistic problem that has to be overcome first. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions you want to ask, sisters, before we go? This issue can be looked upon, discussed later with the management. But please let us continue. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. I will be happy to answer them. Right. We'll move on to question number 3. Why do Muslim women cover their hair and body? This is, of course, regarding the ladies. This is a very important because hijab is one of the most misunderstood notions today in the West. And there's many countries now in France, in Britain and other countries, they're banning actually women from wearing hijab. And big campaigns going on everywhere trying to impose this rule, you know. So if they ask you, why do women have to cover themselves? What would be a good answer for this? Wa alaikum salam, sister.
So I'm trying to answer this question.
Yes, sister.
It's going to be a little bit long, but I hope it's going to be clear.
No, tafaddali.
Okay. So the first point is we have to make clear that no woman is obliged by any person to wear the hijab. So you have to, because there is a lot of bad stereotypes about this point.
Yes.
The second point is, I think personally that hijab is the unique form of liberating women from many kind of oppression, like the man oppression that when I wear hijab, I feel like free from I don't let other people to treat me like an object. I don't I'm free from the society standards.
And second, we can mention also the statistics of in Sweden, it's the world champion in rapes and how they people in rapes and they oblige women to prostitutions and lots of bad stuff. That's it.
Thank you, sister. Thank you very much for your input. See, when the non-Muslims ask this question, first try to see why they're asking this question. Why do you think they're asking this question? What do you think? What is the reason that they're asking us this question? What do they think? When they say woman wearing hijab, what do they think in their mind? What is in their mind? Yes, brother?
I think it is compulsory that men force women to wear.
Yeah, that's also the thing. It is compulsory that we are forcing the women. So what does that mean? She is oppressed. She is subjugated. She is not free to do what she wants. That men are subjugating the women. So this is the reason that they ask them. They think it's being forced upon them. They have no choice in this matter. Either their husbands or their fathers, or they're forcing them, and they're not free to do what they want. They cannot wear whatever they want. So they think women are subjugated, they're oppressed. This is the main issue. But is it Islam only that is requiring women to wear hijab? Only Islam? In the Bible, we have in the Old Testament. Okay? They say, and she, Rebecca, Isaac, so she took her veil and covered herself. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 65. Also, in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 6, Paul says, the woman should cover her body or her hair when she's in public. If she doesn't cover, if she doesn't want, the woman should cover her body when she goes abroad and cover her hair. If she cannot cover her hair, she should shave her hair off. She should shave all the hair. But if it's shameful for her or disgraceful for her to shave her hair, she should cover her body. So this is in the New Testament. Inshallah, I'll be giving you the notes today. They're making photocopies of all these questions and answers so you can go over them again. So don't worry about the references, you'll be getting them also. But the point is this. They have it in their books. Now, if you ask a Christian, tell him or tell her, how do they portray Mary, the mother of Jesus, in your churches? How is she portrayed? Exposed? Covered. You see always the pictures of Mary, she's fully veiled. What about the Catholic nuns? Teresa, Mother Teresa, or other Catholic nuns? They're wearing Islamic clothing. In fact, in their scripture, it is the norm. They cannot enter the church without covering the hair. They know this. But this is a modern thing, a modern development. Now, as our sister said correctly, if a woman she covers, she has the freedom to move around without being harassed. Allah said to the Prophet ﷺ, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن ولا يؤذين. So it's, O Prophet of Allah, tell your wives and your daughters and wives to veil themselves when they go abroad. That's better than not to be chaste and not molested or harassed. There is hikmah. If a woman walks on the streets exposing her beauty, she'll attract attention. And many people are not good people. We have good people and bad people in the streets. So the bad people will start harassing her, maybe staring at her, maybe whistling at her, maybe even stalking her, even maybe raping her. She gave an example of Sweden, which is a very liberated country, all freedom. But you have high rates of rape. Why? Because of these things. There's no, hishma. Women don't cover themselves. And we can give other examples. You have in USA, there's St. Monica. There's a city there called St. Monica in California. There's a statue of St. Monica, and she's fully veiled, like a Muslim woman. So this is not something only in Islam. You have it in the scriptures, the Old Testament and the New Testament. In fact, in the Song of Solomon, in chapter 4, verse 1, it says that, how beautiful you are, my darling. Your eyes behind the veil are like doves. This is in the Bible. Solomon is praising his wife that she's wearing a veil, but her eyes looks like doves behind the veil. That means they were veiled. So I've added in that printout, which I'll be giving you today, pictures of Jewish women who are properly, completely veiled like Muslim women, and Catholic nuns. So you can see, they say this is the way. The way the Christians are supposed to wear is the same way Muslim women are supposed to wear. So what's the problem? Okay? Of course, we know that women are naturally attractive. By God, God has made women to be more attractive than men in the they're very more attractive. So there's a natural attraction between the opposite sex. But if you go in public and the woman is properly covered, she doesn't attract any attention. So she should wear something that is basically loose, it covers her body, doesn't expose her physique, it's not transparent, and it covers what is required. Basically, the woman should cover all her body except the face and the forearms, according to the majority of the Muslim scholars. But of course, some scholars insist the face should be covered. We'll be dealing with that next after that. So this is to liberate the woman from being used as a sexual object. In fact, in America, if they promote anything, car or tire or anything, they put anything. They put a beautiful woman, she's not properly dressed and standing next to the car or lying on the car or something like that. They're using the woman as a commodity. In fact, Islam has honored the woman by this way. It's not using, because if somebody is looked upon as a sexual object, she's something that's useless. She's just used as a commodity. But a person should be judged not by their looks, by their character, by their values, by their principles, by their achievements. This is what Islam gives the women that right to be judged as human beings, not as looked upon as sexual objects. Does anybody have any other points we could add to this? Yes,
Sisters.
Sisters have a point. Okay, we'll listen to. Yes, sister.
My name is Siwar.
I cannot hear you.
My name is Siwar.
Yeah, تفضلي يا أختي.
We can give them an example. Like the Queen of England. Not everyone can shake hands with, and by that example, we can say that all women of Islam are alike queens. Only the VIPs, I'm Mahal, can touch that or see their views. We can give them that example.
Okay, the example of the Queen. Okay, so they have these values that you cannot touch the Queen. Okay, this is a good value, but is she veiled, she covered? Because we're talking about hijab, this is not the touching issue, we're talking about veiling herself. We have to give example of women who veil themselves in other religions, where it's required for them. So we want to talk about any example of other cultures. If you remember the stories of the Puritan fathers, if you look at the old movies of America in the 1900s, early 1900s, when they migrated to the United States, how were the women dressed up? They were fully covered. They have all these petticoats and all these things. You see the old movies, they don't wear like this, they're totally covered. They were called the Puritans. They left England and they went to the West to start a new life. Because they were being oppressed in Europe, they went to America. And they were fully covered. You can look at the Amish community. We have the Amish community, the Protestant community that still follows the Bible in every respect. It's a Protestant group. We'll be talking later about who are these Amish people. They strictly follow the Bible. The women are covered fully like Muslim women. Same thing. So there are many examples today we could use as an example. I'm not sure about the Queen, how she's dressed up, when she meets other people, but as far as I know that she's not fully covered, not wearing hijab. But this is a good input, but I cannot use that as an example because it has to be somebody who's fully covered. Any other points you could ask?
Sheikh, when I talk with Christian people, they ask me about the cover head, the hijab, and I answer them. So, and I tell them about the sister in the church, they make cover head, but they tell me right now they don't make. Not all in the church, but there is some church they don't make cover head in our time. The problem is when I answer them about this question, the women they understand, but the men they not understand. I think they have open eyes. Understand me? This is, they have open eyes.
Open eyes. Okay.
You can ask me about the church. They don't make cover head.
Okay. That's good input, Mukhtar. Mukhtar, mashallah, is very active in Dawah, and I appreciate his efforts and his input, and I appreciate that everybody interacts with me. Basically, the church has left most of the essential requirements of Christianity. See, this is a required thing as I mentioned in the Bible. This is according to the Old Testament and the New Testament. Women have to wear hijab. But many things in the Bible, Christians today don't follow. So some churches, they don't apply this rule. Right? Before they used to, they cannot go to see the Pope, even till today, to the Vatican, unless they cover their hair. They have to wear a veil. And some churches today, especially Protestants, are very liberal. I've been to some churches in the USA. It's like you're going to a disco. They are singing and dancing, and the priest like Michael Jackson. It's making rock and roll, you know. There's nothing religious there. It's all about noise and singing and laughing and collecting money. So some churches today have not followed this proper Islamic way, but still you have some churches that follow this principle in their Bible. So you don't tell them about what people do. Say, what does your book say? What does your Bible say? Okay? The issue is that everybody will do what they want. The Christian faith, everybody is interpreting according to their own thinking. But say, according to your Bible, this is what you should do. Maybe it doesn't, but this is proof. Bring them a proof from the Bible. This is the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 6. It says, a woman should cover her body and hair when she goes out. And if she cannot do that, she should shave her hair off. Otherwise, if it's disgraceful to shave her hair off, then she should cover herself. So this is required. In the Old Testament is required. So why then you're not doing it? So you tell them, according to your book, you're required to do this. Not according to your own thinking. So you quote them based on their religious requirement. They're not supposed to eat pork, nor are they supposed to drink wine, but they're eating pork and they're drinking wine. You see? Because people are now following their own desires. And the church is very relaxed. It doesn't apply these rules. They want just numbers. But you tell them, according to your Bible, this is what is required you to do. So you base it on the evidence. Say, according to the evidence that they have on the Bible, women should be covered. That's what Muslims are doing. That's why you have Catholic nuns are still following that. That's why you have this people like the Amish community are doing that. Why are they doing this if it's not in the Bible? So this is the evidence you have to give them. طيب. Any other points we could add about this? نعم تفضل يا أختي. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
My name is Intisar. I just wanted to tell you about a little story that I faced before.
Okay.
Every time I discuss with a non-Muslim sister about headscarf, I say an example. Maybe most of us know about it. I say that Muslim woman, she's like a diamond. Yeah. So when you have a diamond, you try to cover it from unworthy eyes. So the same thing for the Muslim woman. So Muslim woman, she's more precious than judging her according to her outfit or her body, rather than her thoughts or her ideas. This is it.
Very good example. Very good example can use in the Dawah. This is a woman is precious in Islam. So if you have something valuable, you don't keep it on the streets outside. You have to put it in a very safe place. You have to hide it in a proper place with the security. You make sure that it's not protected from other prying eyes. Now, just keep in mind, Isa a.s. said in the Gospel of Matthew, he said, it's been said, it's been said in the old times, you shall not commit adultery. Thou shalt not commit adultery. This is one of the 10 commandments. Okay? But I say to you that any man that looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Okay? So if your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and throw it away. Cast it away from you. For it's better for you that you go to you lose one member of your body than to have all your body to be put in the hellfire. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it away from you. For it's more profitable for you that you lose one member of your body than all your body put into hell. Now their own prophet that they believe in says you should not even look with lust at the woman, because you'll be committing adultery with her in your heart. And you should take out your eye and throw it away from you. So which Christians are doing this today? This is what Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew. You see? And I gave the reference in the note. So you see, the thing is that according to Isa and according to Musa, it is not allowed for them to display their beauty. They should cover themselves. And it is prohibited for them to look at lust with lustful eyes to the women. As Muslims also have to do also hijab. We also have to do hijab of ghadd al-basar. Okay? So hijab is not only just covering. You have the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you behave, not looking at the women to cast our glance. Men are required to lower their gaze, women are required. This is all part of hijab. Because not just only covering the hair and the body, also the way the woman talks, the way she walks, both men and women, they have to behave in the proper way. So it's a comprehensive means. It's just not only dress. So all these aspects are part of the hijab. So they think only the covering, that's hijab. No. The eyes have to have hijab, your thoughts have to have hijab, your behavior has to have hijab, the way you deal with each other has to be in a straightforward manner. All this is part of the hijab concept. So they only think about the hair and the body, that's it. Yeah.
Sheikh, there is another approach to answer this type of questions. I want to hear your point of view about it. In that approach, we say that instead of answering each detailed question with a reasonable answer, and then he will ask another detailed question, and he will answer with another reasonable question. Instead of that, we answer him in this way. I understand why you are asking this question, and in order to answer you, I want to explain you how you I want to explain you how you can see the world in the eyes of a Muslim. And so, yes, the Torah. And so you are going back with him to the origin, God existence, oneness, and revelation, prophethood. And this is and this way you answer him about, let's say, all his questions. He will find explanation. He will understand why Muslims see the world this way. What do you think about answering with this approach?
Yes, the Gorab approach is a new concept in the Dawah field, and people are applying it in many respects. But sometimes you have to explain. It's not enough just to to go back to explain the concept. It's good that you give them some understanding about why we're doing this. What is the reason behind it? Because maybe it doesn't make sense to them. Now for us, in the two of the mosques, we want them to ask questions. This is basically the reason why we're doing the ATMT, is to create opportunities to get questions. Because if I have a question, and I ask you, answer me, and then ask another question, this means that you are getting closer to Islam. It means it's clearing your misconceptions. So sometimes you have to answer them. It doesn't mean that all the time you have to answer. It depends on the situation. If you feel that this person is better to use the Gorab approach, you use it with them, no problem. But I believe that you should answer each question properly, effectively, and to the point, at least to clarify that issue. Then you can tell them, if you feel that he's still asking more, then you can say, okay, I have to explain to you where we're coming from. Then you can bring him to Gorab, because he has something he wants to know. So first clarify that to him, then you try to clarify the reason why, then you can go to that Gorab. So it's good to do both.
Yes,
it makes sense. Yeah, yes. Mix the two. You have to use sometimes both approaches. Now, this is a very common question. Of course, they ask about the covering of the face, but since some women are not covering the face. Yes, tafadali.
I'm sorry, I had a question about a comment you mentioned. I'm Neila. I wanted to ask you about when you told about the men, yes, the women covered in the Bible and in the New Testament. We are dealing in Europe and in America. We are dealing with people, with atheist people, who do not believe about the existence of a God, and that those books maybe comes from this God. So when you talk about their books, they won't believe you or understand what you are saying. They're not believing what you are saying as something comparable with what's coming in the Quran. I don't know if you understand me.
Okay, I see. I think I got your point, but maybe you can clarify later on. Yes, the majority of the people we meet sometimes in the tours, in the mosque, or outside in the street dawah, they may not necessarily be Christians in the proper sense of the term. There are many Christians today who are atheists. They don't believe in anything. Some are communists, some are other isms. Everybody's holding their own thing. Maybe their name is Christian. That's to say, it depends on who you're dealing with. If you are dealing with somebody who knows an atheist, there's no point to quote the Bible or the Quran, because they don't have the foundation. Then you have to use the Gorab approach in that respect, because you have first to make them believe in the existence of God and the need for God to send us revelation and prophets, and that He's only one and all these things. But as I said, most people, even though they may be away from Christianity, they still remember certain things about Christianity. They still have some of those commandments they follow as principles in their life. You can link with them by giving examples, okay? Practical examples. You could say, okay, suppose you have two twin sisters, okay, walking on the street. One is fully covered with hijab, as properly covered, and they're all equally beautiful. The other one is wearing like mini skirt and t-shirt or whatever, which of the two will people look at? Suppose you have two bad people sitting there, two men looking for a catch, ruffians or whatever. Which of the two will they go after? Which of the two will they tease? Of course, they'll say the one who is not covered. So you can give examples. For these people, you have to give practical examples so they can get the idea. But somebody who has some background in scripture, in knowledge about their faith, they have to quote from the Bible. So each case depends on the individual. You have to judge. If these people feel they know about their book, you have to give them examples. Like missionaries, they know. Christian priests, they know. People who go to the church regularly, they know. But how you will find out, this depends on you, how you approach them. So you may ask them, are you familiar with the Bible? Before you tell them about the Bible, are you familiar with the Bible or with the scripture? Then you can quote for them. If they say, we don't read the Bible, then you know you can use another approach. So you have to find a technique to figure out whether are they really Christians in the proper sense of the term, they believe in the Bible as the Word of God. If not, then you have to use another example, another approach.
And I think the most important number of people in Europe and in the world now don't have religion.
Yes, it's true that many people, they may be away from the religion and they may be actually atheists, but we think they're Christians. Now it's difficult to tell sometimes because most Christians tend to still have that affiliation with the Christian, though they don't follow. They may say we are Christian, but we don't go to church. But they still believe in the Bible as the Word of God, you know. So it's sometimes difficult to tell whether they're atheists or they're truly Christians in the proper sense of the term. But as far as I know that you can give examples, like practically, say the statue of Mary. They've seen this, of course, how Mary is covered. The Catholic nuns, they know how they, this you can say, example, what do you think about Mary? What kind of a woman she is? She's a very good woman, yes. And how is she dressed? How is she dressed? So this is the same way Muslim women. What about the Catholic nuns? What do you think about them? And they're good people. They're just, so why then is it a problem for a Muslim girl to dress like that? It's okay for the Christian to wear like that. What's the problem? See, you have to use these things to bring it closer to them.
It is in the Bible that Mary is covered.
Mary?
It is written in the Bible that Mary is covered.
No, it's not written, but it's known that she was very chaste. In the scripture, original scripture, is about Rebecca. Rebecca, she's mentioned that she, in the book of Genesis chapter 24 verse 65, she took her veil and covered herself. Now, of course, Mary was a pious lady, and based on the traditions of the Torah, she had to cover herself. And she was working in the Torah, she was in the temple of Jerusalem. So based on their original teachings, she must have been covered, because based on the Torah, the women have to be covered. And all Christian women and Jewish women are got to, because it's a sign of modesty. It's a religious requirement to show modesty and chastity. And this is true with every religion that practices this principle. Now, I would say like in Islam, in Christianity, you find the same dress code in terms of women, how they should dress. Whether they apply it or not is another issue, yes.
So this is something known for
exactly.
that Mary is covered.
Not even once she's been shown without veil. Not even once. I've been to many churches. I've seen many Bibles. Not even once she's portrayed without cover. All the time she's portrayed with the veil. All the time. Nobody will doubt about this. You can say this for 100% guarantee. Mary is always shown covered, fully veiled, like a Muslim woman. Nowhere have I seen a picture of Mary exposed or without veil. Not even once. Yes.
Sheikh, I want to be sure about something. Mary is Maryam.
Maryam, yes. The mother of Isa. Mary in English, Maryam in Arabic, yes. So an example, you can say Mother Teresa or the Catholic nuns, Mary, how are they dressed? What do you think about these women? Are they good women? Yes. What about Muslim women? They're doing the same thing. So where's the problem? See, you have to give a logical answer to them. So use logic, use examples, use practical things that can relate to that. Because if your women can dress like that based on your teachings, then what's wrong with the Muslim women doing the same? So it shows that they are actually going against their own religious teachings. This is the way you can prove to them that it's actually good to wear the hijab. Now another issue you have to remember is that you have to tell them, we're not doing this because we are forced. Women normally, they think we are forcing the women or this, because this we do it out of love for God. This is a commandment from Allah. Women, they obey Allah in wearing hijab because they do it because they love Allah. Suppose you love somebody and they tell you do something for me, won't you do it for them? Of course. Because we have to make sure that the thing, it's not that we are being forced to do these things against our will. No, we love it. We love Allah. So if a woman loves Allah, she has to obey Allah. If you love somebody, you have to obey them. So they do this out of love for God, out of love for pleasing God, because that is the way they get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the idea is that we have to tell them that when the woman, when she does it out of her own free choice, nobody's forcing her. And she does this in obedience to God's commandment, which requires her to wear this hijab, and that's why because she loves God, she loves Allah. That's why she's obeying Allah in this matter. Yes.
But it is true that sometimes a woman is obliged by her father.
It is true, because it's a requirement. But of course, the issue of obliging is because in obedience to Allah's command. You see, we have to inform whoever is under our care that they have a duty to do this, like to pray. You have to tell the children to pray. You have to tell them women to wear the hijab if they have attained the age of puberty. But how you do it is the issue. It should not be by cruel means or by force, with hikmah. We have to use hikmah in da'wah. Even with our own family members, with our own children, our own sisters. You can't keep forcing them. And if it's a Christian woman or a non-Muslim woman, she wants to become Muslim, but she says, I cannot wear hijab, say no problem. Hijab is not the priority. The priority is to believe in Allah as one God and Muhammad is messenger. This can come later on. So don't force them to tell them from the beginning, you have to wear hijab, you have to become Muslim. No, not an issue. For the non-Muslims, not an issue. Tell them the point is that hijab is not the priority in Islam at this point. For the non-Muslim, we tell them, look, if you have to accept Islam, you can accept it. So yeah, but you cannot wear hijab, it's not an issue. Do you believe in one God, Muhammad's messenger? Fine. This is the priority. Covering your body is the secondary issue. Let her become a Muslim first, and once Iman enters her heart, she will automatically wear hijab by herself. You don't have to tell her. Because since there's no Iman, there's no way she will put hijab in the first place. So remember that things have to go stage by stage. So if a non-Muslim wants to accept Islam and says that, I want to become a Muslim, I'm convinced, but I don't want to wear hijab, say no problem. You accept Islam, and this matter is between you and God. Within a short time, you'll see her wearing hijab herself. So use hikmah. Don't force them. Say, no, you have to become Muslim, you have to put hijab, you have to do it. They cannot. They don't have the iman. They don't have the basis for that. So this comes with time. So you have to have patience. Everything has to go stage by stage. Even us, sometimes we were small, didn't want to pray. We don't want to go to the masjid. See, slowly, things take time. So you have to keep advising, you have to be encouraging, you have to use all other means. So don't push Islam very hard to them. Make it easy for them. So you accept Islam. This is the bottom line. But suppose she dies as a Muslim, she doesn't want, okay, she's committed ma'asiyah, but she not commit shirk, which is the worst thing. So better that she becomes a muwahhid, a Muslimah, and goes to Jannah. Maybe she has committed sin, maybe Allah will forgive her, but at least she died on Tawheed. Rather than she dies as a Christian or a Jew or go to hellfire. What's the benefit? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I have this question that many people ask me. They say that if women wear hijab, that's a sign that we consider men as animals full of sexual desires or something.
Well, they understand it differently from us. See, they think that men cannot control themselves. That's what they think. See, the issue is not that men can control. The issue is that we are not angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. He knows what is good for us, what is harmful for us. We as Muslims, we submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to all the command, because it's in our best interest. Allah, He created us, He knows what's good for us, what's harmful for us. So Allah knows that there's some people who are sick. Not everybody, of course, is like that, but there's some people who are sick in their hearts. They're trying to harm people. They will see a woman, they'll start staring at her, harassing at her, even stalking her, and trying to commit rape. So, in society you have good elements, you have bad elements. So Allah is protecting the women from these bad antisocial elements. People who will make trouble for her, who will harass her, who will molest her. So if she's covering herself, she's protecting herself from these people. It does not mean that all men are, they cannot control. No, it's just that this is a protection from the evil elements of the society. There will be always in society some good people and some bad people. This is acceptable. I mean, this is normal in every society, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. So for us, we know that practically that the hijab, it does help women in this respect. And we can tell the Western woman, oh, you try it yourself. Go on the street, fully hijab, wear full hijab and see what happens, and go again without wearing anything, or just scanty clothes, see what happens to you. Let them try it themselves. So you go any place and wear in both, try 2 ways and see what happens to you. Which is better? See, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. Doesn't God know who created us? So we don't have that wisdom. We see only something. See, maybe in the Western world, maybe in some countries, people, they don't mind. They are used to seeing women maybe not properly dressed. It doesn't affect them. But in other societies, it's different. So Allah knows what's harmful, what's best. So we can tell them, we as Muslims, we obey God because we know that He knows what is best for us. And we know practically that a woman who is covered does not attract the same attention like the woman who is not properly covered. And this is natural attraction between men and women in society. So you have good elements and bad elements. Give them something like that, logically, and they will get the point, inshallah. But as I said, if they insist, challenge them. So why don't you try it yourself? If she's a lady, tell her, you try it yourself and see what happens. Go in a place where it's crowded with people, all kind of people, and try both ways. Wear one time hijab and see what happens to you, and wear the next day miniskirts or very revealing clothes and see what happens to you. They will get the message. They'll get the message. Yes. طيب. I'm glad that the sisters are now interacting, alhamdulillah. That's a good sign. Inshallah, we are getting some progress now. We need a break, so jazakumullah khair. Okay, we'll take a break for 15 minutes and come back, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.